Hello YouTube, I'm the Foam Witch, and in this video I'm going to show you how I made some gauntlets for Thor's costume from the movie Love and Thunder. Before we get started, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, if you could do that now, that would be incredible. Otherwise, let's do this. So the first thing I needed to do was make some form of template. To do this, I took the arm from my mannequin and the measurements I was given and wrapped the arm in kitchen roll until it was the size that matched the measurements. This was then wrapped in a layer of cling film so that the duct tape I was going to use in the next step didn't stick to the kitchen roll. This got covered in a layer of duct tape, and the reason for this was so I could draw the template on and then cut it out. This is a really good method for making your own templates because then you can guarantee it's going to be the size that you need. Sections were then drawn onto this. Once cut out, they would give the template that was needed. It was then just a case of cutting these out with my craft knife. And this is why I covered the kitchen roll in a layer of cling film, just because once they were cut out, it would be easy to peel them off the mannequin. This was the sections of the templates, ready to transfer onto the foam. For the base of the gauntlets, I used 5mm foam, and then for the details, it was a mixture of between 3 and 1mm. Here I was making sure the registration marks were added. This is very important when sticking foam together so it lines up perfectly. Then all the pieces got cut out, and what did I use? That's right, a sharp craft knife. Making sure that the blade on your knife is sharp is the best piece of advice I can give because this is going to give clean cuts and stop you having to do too much tidying up. Because these gauntlets are being worn on the arm, they need a curve to them, so I just took my heat gun, heated them up and then formed them into place. It was then a case of sticking all these pieces together, and I used contact adhesive for this, and then once this was done, the base of the gauntlet was complete. It doesn't look very impressive right now, but trust me, it will. I then cut a section out of the top and the bottom to give it the basic shape it needed. And then it was time to build these bad boys up by adding a load of detail. I made another template for this. Just looking at reference photos, I drew what I thought looked right. This would then be cut out in sections and built up one on top of the other to give that awesome detail. This was the template once I was happy with it. As you can see, I only drew the design on one side. This was because I was feeling a bit lazy and didn't want to spend too long drawing. And when I was cutting the pieces out, this piece of paper was folded in half so they could be cut out in symmetrical sections. For pretty much all of this video, I'm just showing you making one gauntlet, but obviously I did everything twice so I could make two. It was then just a case of cutting out all the segments and building them up layer by layer. This took quite a while, and to be honest, for this part I don't really have much of an explanation. It's just me cutting the pieces out, sticking them one on top of the other. So I'm going to take this opportunity to say, if you'd like to see any more of my crafting content, you can follow me on all of my socials under the name The Foam Witch. I'm on TikTok, I'm on Twitter, I'm on YouTube obviously, I'm on Facebook, Instagram. I've got them all, so go and check them out. Now that shameless self-promotion is out of the way, I can talk to you about this part of the video. These gauntlets had what looked like rivets on them, so in order to create this detail I used my hole punch to cut some 2mm foam out, and then I stuck these on to replicate that. The backs of these gauntlets also has detail, so I cut out some strips of foam in different widths and added them to the back. I'm not even joking, you will not believe how many attempts it just took me to record the words strips of foam in different widths. And this is what the gauntlets look like once all of the details were complete. I then used my Dremel to round off some of the edges and tidy them up. Because these gauntlets are worn quite tight to the arm, I wanted to make them easy to put on, so I attached some Velcro to make them very easy to open and close. To get rid of any pen marks before painting, I took a cotton bud with some white spirit and very gently rubbed away those lines. These gauntlets have a hand plate attached to them, so I needed to make another template for this, and I used the exact same method I used early in the video to make the previous template. This again was cut out in sections that was built up to give different layers. The hand plates have this kind of crisscross pattern on them, so in order to replicate this, I drew this on and then I scored into it with my craft knife, heated it up with the heat gun, which opens all of the lines to add the detail to the foam. I love adding detail this way. Watching the lines open when you add the heat, it feels like real magic. And as I am the foam witch, I do love a bit of magic or witchcraft. It was then time to add some more detail in the form of edging and more of those rivet pieces. It got a tidy up with the Dremel, and then again I removed any pen lines with some white spirit on a cotton bud. And the hand plates were complete. I then just needed to attach these to the gauntlet, which I did using contact adhesive, and once this was all assembled, it was time to start the painting process. Starting with the foam being sealed, this was the gauntlet after 3 layers of the Hexflex. It was time to paint. I picked out other colours from my selection of airbrush paints, and I had to try and match the paint as closely as I could to the suit that these gauntlets were going with. To paint these gauntlets, I decided to brush the paint on. Airbrush paint is really easy to brush on and it leaves very minimal brush strokes, which I greatly enjoy. I could have used my airbrush, but this would have meant masking every layer before I painted the next one, and I wasn't all about that. From looking at the reference photos, there's a section on these gauntlets that has this lovely electric blue colour. I managed to find the perfect paint for this and I really loved the colour. Once all the paintwork was complete, I wanted to make sure it was protected, so I used a layer of this Valor clear coat from Polyprops. Once the clear coat had fully dried, the gauntlets were complete. These were really cool to make, and my favourite part was adding all of the details and watching all those layers build up. That was really cool. If you are still watching this video right now, I want to give you a massive, huge thank you. If you've enjoyed this video, it would be really awesome if you could give it a thumbs up like. If you want to help out the channel, if you could share this video around or even go and watch some of my other videos, that would be awesome. And if you are still watching and haven't yet subscribed to my channel, but you really enjoy content like this, if you could subscribe now, that would be absolutely incredible. With all that said, and the gauntlets complete, all I've got left to say is, I'll see you next time.